My name is Ava Mercer, and I'm 28. If you asked me what success smelled like, I'd say eucalyptus steam and rain hitting warm porcelain. That's my master bathroom on winter mornings. Heat in the tiles, a soaking tub like a small lake, and a rain shower I saved for and installed because I wanted to feel like the protagonist in my own life. The bedroom it opens into is my sanctuary. King bed, reading nook with a chair that fits like a palm, floor to ceiling windows, a private balcony that frames the Space Needle like a postcard. I'm a software engineer. I bought this two-bedroom downtown after years of grinding and saying no to everything except the goal. The walk-in closet, custom shelving, labeled boxes, light that turns on like a quiet greeting, might be my favorite place on earth. It took weekends and diagrams and a salesperson who learned my name. I'd tell you it's excessive. It isn't. It's mine. My younger sister Emily, 26, elementary school teacher, has always been the family's sunbeam, the baby, the she didn't mean it, the person who could turn a lecture into a hug. Last month she got engaged to Tyler, 27, a retail management guy with a gentle face and the posture of someone braced against weather. I was happy for them. I mean, truly. Wedding Pinterest boards, a coffee table covered with magazine tabs. Happy. After the engagement, Emily started stopping by. At first, it was normal. Latte in hand, a flurry of, you need to try this florist, and do you think gold cutlery is tacky? But on a quiet Saturday, with deli sandwiches and an early winter sky the color of tin, she set her drink down like a judge setting down a verdict. We should talk about the bedroom situation, she said. I blinked. What bedroom situation? She gestured with a sweep that took in the balcony, the closet, my bed. Ava, this room is extravagant. For one person. I laughed. Great thing only one person paid for it. Her expression didn't change. I'm serious. Tyler and I are getting married. We need space a couple needs. The closet, the ensuite, the balcony. It makes way more sense for us to have the master. She smiled in that teacher calm way. You can take the guest room. It's perfectly adequate for a single woman. The sentence landed like a glass sliding off the counter. You're suggesting I give you my bedroom, I repeated, in case my ears had misbent the sound. We'd share the apartment, Emily corrected. Family helps family. There it was, our household's holy spell. I could almost hear Mom's voice behind it, the hymn of equity that somehow always tilted toward Emily. I'm proud of you, I said, careful and flat. But I didn't buy this place to become a roommate. The answer is no. Emily's smile thinned. You're not listening. Housing is impossible right now. You're hoarding space. We'd contribute $400 a month for the master. My mortgage is $2,800 before HOA. I sipped my water. No. Her phone was in her hand already. Let's at least measure. Tyler's dresser. Measure? Just seeing if it fits before we make plans. She was on her feet, moving, teacher heels clicking decisions into my floor. Emily, I stood too. Stop! She was in my closet, fingers trailing along the custom shelves I designed, the small hum of the motion light turning on like an apology. We'd need to remove a few of these. You don't need this much space for one person's clothes. I heard my voice go very quiet. Get out. Tyler hovered in the doorway, palms up, like a referee who wanted to be anywhere else. Maybe we should... We're talking, she said over her shoulder, that soothing tone climbing into condescension. Ava, you're being dramatic. This is what families do. Families ask, I said, escorting them toward the door, and families take no for an answer. She gathered her tote like a flag. I'm telling Mom you screamed at me. I didn't scream, I said, and then, because I'm human, I closed the door a little harder than angels would recommend. The campaign started the next morning. Mom called first, disappointment woven in like metallic thread. Emily says you won't share. You've been living alone too long. It would be good for you to practice compromise. Dad texted, your mother is crying. Think about it. Aunts, uncles, my grandmother, choir in rounds, family helps family. My phone filled with links to articles about the housing crisis and minimalism and how happiness is less stuff. Each link ended with a dig. Some people have more than they need. By Wednesday, Emily's Instagram stories included a selfie in my bedroom, dreaming of the day, a shot of my closet, goals AF, my balcony, future morning coffee with @Tyler Williams, and finally, a black screen. When your own family won't support your dreams, My DMs lit up. Are you moving? Did you promise her? I posted one calm story, just facts. I own my apartment. I have never offered my bedroom to anyone. It felt surreal to have to state the obvious publicly. Then she started a group chat. Family housing solution. Week 1-2. Ava moves personal items to guest room. Week 3-4. Emily and Tyler bring essentials. Month 2. Full transition complete. Month 3. Trial period review. I left the chat. Mom added me back. I left again. Mom called crying. I stared at the ceiling, counting the soft whir of the blackout curtains as they closed, and thinking, I paid for quiet. Why is it so loud? That night I changed the locks, issued a note to building security. No one upstairs without my explicit approval. I also did something I should have done years ago. I retrieved the "for emergencies" spare key from my parents' key hook in my mind's eye. Except the actual metal? It was still with Mom. I'd never asked for it back. The realization felt like a cold coin sliding under my ribs. I told Ethan, my boyfriend, over pho, at our favorite spot. He's a software architect, fellow late-nighter, the kind of steady that makes you notice how fast you were spinning. His ex, Marissa, once accused him of choosing code over people, but he chooses people, quietly, consistently. He listened, chopsticks stilled. Do you want me there when you talk to your parents? I want this to stop being a debate, I said. I want no to mean no. The next Sunday, Emily texted, Truce? Can we come by with coffee and apologize for coming on too strong? I believed in apologies, like some people believe in rain on parched ground. They arrived at 2 with contrition and Starbucks. For 5 minutes, peace. Then, So, Emily said brightly, we've been thinking about how to make this work for everyone. She nodded to Tyler. He pulled up a notes app with bullets like a missile list. Current rent, $800. Proposed bedroom rent to Ava, $400. Savings to Ava, cleaning time, shared groceries. Benefits, built-in friends, apartment sitters, home-cooked meals. How do I win? I asked. You're not looking at the intangibles, she said. Connection, community, security. I don't want roommates. That's why I bought my own place. She stood, bright with initiative, and pulled a measuring tape from her tote. The audacity of office supplies. Let's at least... No, my voice was a flat line. We're done measuring my life. She exhaled a laugh. That wasn't a laugh. This is your problem, Ava. You can't have a rational conversation without flying off the handle. My hands were steady on the door. There are no plans. There is only my home. You don't live here. You're not going to live here. Leave. They left to the sound of Emily narrating my failings down the hall and Tyler murmuring apologies to the elevator. 20 minutes later, my phone exploded again. Mom, did you scream at your sister? Dad, your mother is crying. Aunt Patricia, why did you make Emily cry? By evening, the myth had metastasized into me, violently ejecting them and threatening to call the police. I want to say that was the moment I felt crazy. It wasn't. The crazy came the next morning, when the concierge slipped me a note left by a delivery courier. 2 nightstands and a vanity scheduled for delivery next week, to my unit, with Emily's name and my address. I held the slip of paper and felt the elevator hum in my bones. The world was very quiet. That, I've learned, is when the real storm starts. My mother's voice can make anything sound harmless. That's her superpower. Just family dinner, honey. Your dad made the roast you like. A Sunday invitation wrapped in childhood smells and the illusion of neutral ground. I drove over at dusk, the street lamps feathering light across the hood, rehearsing reasonable sentences in my head. I love you. This topic is closed. Please stop. The front door opened before I knocked, and warmth, garlic, thyme, the same lemon cleaner from my childhood, rushed out like a memory, trying to bargain. The dining room wasn't a dining room. It was a conference table, cosplay. Legal pads, printed packets, cold water in identical glasses. My parents at the head of the table, seated not like hosts, but like a panel. Emily and Tyler sat on the long side with their laptops open, the glow turning their faces into polite ghosts. The roast sat ignored, staged like a prop in a play about normalcy. Sit down, Ava, Dad said in his firm, financial advisor voice. the one that used to talk strangers through bear markets and made us stop squabbling as kids. My chair made a small sound against the hardwood. I kept my hands folded. Calm is a decision you have to keep renewing. Mom began with the preamble. We're here because we love each other. We're here to find a solution. She brightened, proud as if announcing a scholarship, prepared a presentation. Emily clicked. The TV on the sideboard woke up. Title slide, Optimal Living Arrangements for the Mercer Family, in teal block letters with tasteful confetti dots, like a startup pitch deck dissolved into a Hallmark card. Slide 1, The Problem. Bullet points in cheerful font. Inefficient use of space. Misallocated resources. Family separation leading to emotional distance. Slide 2, Market analysis. Rent graphs with red arrows. Median 1-bedrooms plotted against my mortgage. A little dot labeled Ava, underutilizing, sitting like a shamed planet. Slide 3, Proposed solution. A floor plan of my apartment. Emily plus Tyler. Master suite and balcony in pink. Ava. Guest room plus hall bath in gray. Even the colors editorialized. Slide 4, Financial breakdown. We would contribute $400 a month, Emily said brightly, but you would save approximately $200 with shared groceries and utilities and reduced cleaning burden, so net cost to you, only $200 for the privilege of community. Privilege echoed like a laugh in a quiet choir loft. Slide 5, Lifestyle benefits. Built-in social life, she read. Home security when traveling. Family bonding. A stock photo of a couple clinking mugs on a balcony. My balcony. I recognized the view angle. Slide 6, Transition timeline. A Gantt chart. Color bars. 6 weeks of occupation disguised as collaboration. Slide 7, Guest room optimization. Links to Murphy beds and foldable desks. A Pinterest board called Solo Girl, Big Dreams, Small Space. I absorbed the insult baked into the aesthetic. Slide 8, Success metrics. Quarterly family dinners. Decreased loneliness indicators. Closet sharing. Satisfaction survey. Pilot. The nonsense was so polished, I felt the absurdity rising like laughter, and I swallowed it because laughter would be treated as disrespect, which would become the headline, which would become the story. When she finished, Emily clasped her hands like she'd just delivered clean water to a village. Questions? Yes, I said. 1. Why do you think you can assign my space to yourselves? Because it's logical, she said, the teacher tone returning. 2 people, 1 person, needs versus excess. Logic without consent is just theft with spreadsheets, I said, and Dad flinched, like I'd sworn in church. Mom leaned in, voice soft, weaponized. Ava, you've been independent so long, you've forgotten how to share. This isn't theft. This is family resilience. Tyler had the grace to look miserable. He glanced at me, then back to the table. His cursor blinked on a cell labeled Chore Rotation, Draft, like a heartbeat he wanted to silence. I breathed. The answer is no. I will not be a tenant in my own home. I will not have roommates. I will not move into a 10 by 11 box with a view of a parking structure so that you can play house in my bedroom. No. Emily's smile trembled, then reset. You're reacting emotionally. Look at the numbers. No, I said evenly. Look at my answer. There was a pause long enough to hear the fridge hum in the kitchen. Then Tyler cleared his throat. We already gave notice on our place. The sentence thudded into the middle of the table. Even my mother's script slipped. You what? Our lease was month to month, Emily rushed in, cheeks bright. It made sense to stop wasting money in December when we're moving. I knew once you saw the plan, you'd come around. You turned a fantasy into an eviction notice, I said, on purpose. She blinked hard. I thought my family would support me. I thought my sister would want to help me start my married life. You made a decision about my home without me. I pushed the printed packet back toward her. The paper rasp was a tiny guillotine. And the consequences are yours. The pivot to tears was clean. You are choosing square footage over family, she said, and the line landed like she'd practiced it. Mom took her hand, then looked at me with a grief so dramatized it had cue lighting. This is breaking my heart. Dad tried compromise like duct tape. What if we trial it for a month? You keep the door to the balcony on your side. There is no trial, I said. There is no month. The answer is no. The room filled with noise, Mom's weeping commentary, Emily's staccato sniffles, Dad's disappointed sighs like punctuation. It is terrifying how fast a chorus can make you doubt the melody you know is true. I stood. If you enter my apartment without permission, I will call the police. Mom recoiled like I'd thrown the word at her. On your own sister? On anyone who breaks into my home. Silence. The shocked kind, as if I'd broken a sacred rule. Maybe I had. Maybe the rule was, our wants outrank your boundaries whenever we chant family. I left without touching the roast. The winter air hit my cheeks like a bracing palm. In the car, my hands shook. I texted Ethan one line. It was an ambush. He sent back, I'm home. Come over. I drove toward warmth that didn't demand a key to my life. We sat on his couch with ramen and quiet. He listened without fixing, my favorite thing about him. You were clear, he said finally. Sometimes clarity makes people louder before it makes them stop. Emily already gave notice. I pressed my fingers against my eyes until stars bloomed. She built a reality and tried to move me into it. Then her reality will fall apart, he said. Yours doesn't have to. Later, after a shower that washed off the day's script, I lay in Ethan's bed watching the red dot of a distant crane blink through the window. The city pulsed, proof that other people were living other lives where no one was trying to annex their bedrooms. My phone buzzed face down on the nightstand. I didn't look. For once, I let the messages pile like snow I wasn't responsible for shoveling. 2 days of quiet followed. On the third, Tyler texted, Can we talk? Alone. I stared at the bubbles, feeling the tug of empathy and the caution of a steel cable. We met in a cafe near the university, all windows and fern walls, and the kind of indie music that sounds like rain. He looked older in just a week. I'm sorry, he said, no preamble. I thought you'd already agreed months ago. Emily showed me screenshots where you said, we'll see, but she cropped out the part where you were talking about her visiting more. She told me you offered the master once she got engaged. I felt equal parts vindicated and sick. She edited reality. I'm not proud I didn't see it. He twisted his paper cup until the lid squeaked. She's determined. I thought it was drive. It's something else. You don't have to explain her to me, I said gently. He exhaled, relief and shame braided. I told her I won't move anywhere she doesn't have a legal right to be. She cried for 2 hours. Then she said, he swallowed, she said she'd take care of it. Before Ava's next work trip, she said. She'll understand once she sees how nice it looks. The cafe sound dimmed, like someone turned down the city. The phrase landed in my chest and lodged there, an ice bead. Before your next work trip. I have a conference in Vancouver in 3 weeks. The dates are in my parents' shared calendar because Mom likes to keep up with my world. Thank you for telling me, I said. And get your own key back, Tyler. Metaphorically, I mean. He smiled without joy. I'm starting to. I walked home under a sky the color of graphite, my breath white in the air, replaying the sentence until each word had edges. I emailed my building manager to reconfirm, no one upstairs without my explicit permission. I changed the locks again and scheduled the installer to add a latch that couldn't be copy-cut at a hardware store. Then I sat at my desk and opened a blank document titled Paper Trail. I wrote everything down, dates, times, exact words, proof for when memory gets gaslit. My phone pinged. Emily, 11:18 p.m. We're done arguing. I'm fixing it. You'll thank me. I stared at the message for a long time, then turned my phone face down and slid the new deadbolt into place with a quiet click that sounded to me like a promise. Not to them, to myself. There's a feeling you get when you walk into a room and the air doesn't belong to you anymore. It's not something you can name right away. It's a small, wrong hum. A mismatch between memory and matter. When I returned from Vancouver, that hum was waiting for me. The apartment looked clean, maybe even cleaner than I'd left it, but the energy, off. The air smelled faintly like vanilla candles, not mine. I dropped my luggage, walked toward the bedroom, and froze. My bed had been moved, not a little. The entire frame had been rotated against the opposite wall. My gray linen duvet was replaced with a white one covered in pastel throw pillows. My reading chair, gone. In its place, a vanity table I'd never seen before. A vase of fake peonies sat beneath my window. The framed print of an abstract skyline that used to hang above my bed, gone. replaced by cursive wall art that said "Live, Laugh, Love." At first, my brain just refused to translate it. I stood there, blinking at pink pillows like they were hieroglyphs. Then I saw the photo. A framed picture of Emily and Tyler, engagement smiles beaming from my nightstand. The sound I made wasn't a scream, it was quieter, more dangerous. I opened the closet door. My meticulous, labeled paradise was gone. My dresses shoved to one side. The rest, her things. Dresses, heels, handbags, each with sticky notes labeled formal, casual, honeymoon. She'd even installed new rods, drilled into my custom system. I think that's when I started shaking. I pulled out my phone, thumb hovering over Mom. Then I stopped. I opened the hidden app on my screen, the backup security cam footage. The timestamp read, Day 3 of my trip. The footage showed my mother at the lobby desk, smiling sweetly at security. She said she was there to water my plants. I don't own plants. She had a key. The next clip, Mom unlocking my door. Then Emily, Tyler, and 2 friends trailing behind with boxes and bags. Emily's voice rang through the apartment. She was narrating. This is where we'll put our wedding photos. The vanity will go right here. Tyler, your gaming setup, maybe against this wall? They laughed. They redecorated. They lived in my space like it already belonged to them. I called the police. Calm, concise, clipped sentences. While waiting, I filmed everything. Every corner, every screw hole drilled into my closet, every labeled box. Evidence. When the officers arrived, they were polite but skeptical. Ma'am, is this a family disagreement? One asked. I showed him the footage, the lease with my name, the cease and desist letter I'd emailed weeks ago, the photos of the redecorated room. Their faces changed. Professional now. An hour later, Emily and Tyler showed up, likely tipped off by Mom. Emily still had that earnest smile, like this was just a misunderstanding waiting to be smoothed over. Ava, she said, stepping toward me. It was supposed to be a surprise makeover. You've been so stressed. I wanted to make your place feel more alive. The officer lifted a hand. Ma'am, please stay where you are. You called the police? She gasped, as if that was the crime. We're family. You broke in, I said, with Mom's help. Mom arrived moments later, frantic, voice pitched high. This is a mistake. I have a key. It's not breaking in if you have a key. The officer turned. Ma'am, if you use that key without the owner's permission, it's trespassing. You can't arrest us for being family, she snapped, eyes flashing toward me like this was all my fault. Watch us, I muttered. Emily tried tears next. You're making me look like a criminal over a bedroom, Ava. You're so cold, so selfish. The officer started helping them pack their things. Every pink pillow, every labeled box, the vanity, the photo frame. Each item removed felt like reclaiming oxygen molecule by molecule. Tyler said nothing. His eyes looked hollow, shoulders slumped. He moved like a man half asleep or half free. When it was done, the officers handed me a report slip and reminded me to change my locks again and to consider legal follow-up. I thanked them. Then, when the door closed behind everyone, I slid down the wall and finally let myself cry. Not out of sadness, out of sheer disbelief that blood could make people so entitled. Later that night, I sat in the living room, my lawyer friend on speakerphone. She told me exactly what to do. File for a restraining order. Send a formal cease and desist to both Emily and my mother. Document everything. I did. Every email, every timestamp, every voicemail of my mother's "How could you" speeches went into a folder titled Proof. 3 days later, Mom texted, We didn't mean harm. You're destroying the family with this police nonsense. Emily was only trying to help. I didn't reply. A week after that, a certified letter arrived. Mom's handwriting on the envelope, a shaky return address. Inside, Ava, you've embarrassed us all. We forgive you, but you need therapy for your control issues. Family isn't about property. I placed the letter on the pile marked evidence. The restraining order hearing took 2 hours. The judge reviewed the footage in silence. When it ended, he turned to Emily and said, You're fortunate your sister documented everything. Emily stared straight ahead, jaw trembling, eyes full of unspent rage. Mom dabbed her face with a tissue. Tyler just kept his gaze on the floor. When the order was granted, Emily whispered, You'll regret this. I met her eyes. No, I said quietly. I regret ever trusting you with a key. She flinched. Afterward, Tyler lingered in the hallway. I'm sorry, he said, voice low. I didn't know she was like this. She said you'd agreed. She said it was family property. She's been told that all her life, I said. By Mom. Maybe it's not her fault she believes it. He nodded, shame in every line of his body. I don't think I can do this anymore. You mean the wedding, he said simply. That night, I changed my locks one final time, installed a new system, keypad entry, smart cameras, motion alerts. I even replaced the hinges on the balcony door. My sanctuary was mine again, but it didn't feel peaceful. It felt fortified. There's a difference between being safe in your home and being safe from your home, and I was starting to realize I'd need both. The silence after the storm was not peace. It was distance, raw and echoing. When the restraining order came through, Emily's fury found a new shape: social media. She posted a long caption under a photo of her engagement ring on a windowsill. Sometimes family can be your worst enemy. All I wanted was to start my life surrounded by love, and instead, I got betrayal. Healing now. The comments poured in. Stay strong, girl. Family doesn't always mean loyalty. A few of her teacher friends tagged inspirational quotes. It would have been funny if it weren't so cruel. Within days, relatives were calling, texting, even mailing letters to me. Why couldn't you just let her have the bedroom? She's your sister. You didn't need to humiliate her with the police. Your mother is heartbroken. How could you press charges? Mom's voice on voicemail was the hardest. I don't understand who you've become, Ava. We raised you to care about family, not property. That word again. Property, as if boundaries were greed and theft was generosity. Dad was quieter. His first call was half apology, half pleading. Your mother's struggling with all this, he said. She's doing community service instead of jail time. Just don't post anything. Keep your head down. I wanted to scream. I never posted anything. But what was the point? In this family, silence had always been mistaken for guilt. Therapy became my anchor. Every Thursday, I sat across from Dr. Patel, a calm woman with the kind of stillness that made you hear your own heartbeat. She said words I'd never heard in my family's vocabulary: entitlement, enabling, emotional trespass. She believes your success belongs to her because she was told family success is communal, Dr. Patel explained. And your mother reinforced that. It's not about the bedroom, it's about control. She was right. It had never been about square footage. It was about the idea that Emily could rewrite the rules of my life if it made her more comfortable. 2 weeks later, Tyler texted again. Can we meet? I think you deserve to know. We met at a small cafe near my office, rain streaking the windows. He looked exhausted, eyes shadowed. He told me everything. The night of the police visit had broken something in Emily. She'd screamed at him for taking your side. When he tried to reason with her, she threw her engagement ring across the room and shouted, "You're supposed to protect me from her." He paused, staring into his untouched coffee. That's when I realized she didn't want a partner. She wanted a witness, someone to co-sign her delusions. He moved out that week. The wedding was officially called off. I should have felt relief, but all I felt was the weight of a family imploding. Emily's posts grew darker. Some people can't stand to see others happy. Then came one that made my chest go cold. When your own blood ruins your wedding, you learn what real betrayal feels like. The comments turned into a mob. Cousins, aunts, people I hadn't spoken to in years joined the chorus of pity. I didn't reply. I blocked. I archived. I learned the power of digital locks to match the physical ones. Through it all, Ethan stayed. He didn't offer advice or try to fix it. He just cooked dinner, stayed on the phone until I fell asleep, and never once made me feel like I was too much. When I told him I was thinking of selling the apartment, he didn't question it. He just asked, "Where do you want to go next?" "I don't know," I admitted. "Somewhere nobody knows my address." He smiled softly. "Then that's where you'll go." By the time the restraining order expired, Emily had become the family ghost. Everyone spoke about her, no one to her. Mom started attending therapy too. Court-ordered, but begrudgingly. Dad told me they were in couples therapy, trying to repair the family fabric. He said it like I was the tear. Meanwhile, Emily moved in with a friend. She started a blog called Surviving Family Trauma, a diary of vague laments about betrayal and losing everything to toxic people. Her followers called her brave. I read one post where she wrote, "My sister turned her back on me, but I'll rise from it." I wanted to comment, "You turned a key in a lock that wasn't yours." But I didn't. I just closed the tab and told myself that sometimes letting people narrate their lies is safer than trying to correct them. A month later, the realtor called. "Your apartment would sell easily, Ava. Great location, perfect view. I looked at the skyline through my balcony window, the one Emily once called our future morning coffee spot. The light hit the glass, and for the first time in months, I didn't feel anger. I felt done. I signed the papers that week. When Mom heard, she called. "So, you're selling our apartment now?" "Our apartment," she said. The words hit me like deja vu. I took a deep breath. "No, Mom, my apartment. And I'm selling it because I don't want a single spare key left in this city." Silence. Then a shaky inhale. "You really are your father," she whispered, like it was an insult. "Good," I said, and hung up. That night, I poured a glass of wine and sat cross-legged on the floor of my half-empty living room. The city outside glowed gold and gray. For the first time, it was quiet. The kind of quiet that isn't absence, but peace. Ethan called. "Packing yet?" "Halfway," I said. "Where to?" "Anywhere with a doorman and no family keys." He laughed, low and warm. "Sounds like freedom." "It is," I said. "It really is." Closing day came with rain, the kind that turns city sounds into hush. I signed the final papers at the real estate office, handed over the keys that had once felt like armor, and felt something break loose inside me. Not sadness exactly, more like release. The apartment wasn't just walls and windows. It was the battlefield where I finally learned the difference between family and ownership, between love and obligation. The realtor shook my hand. "Congratulations, Ms. Mercer. You'll get the transfer confirmation next week." Congratulations. That word had felt hollow lately, but as I stepped outside into the drizzle, it started to feel right again. My phone buzzed before I reached the car. Unknown number. The message read, "So you really sold it. Where are we supposed to live now?" Emily. No greeting, no punctuation, just accusation. Like the sale was her eviction notice from a fantasy world she built and refused to leave. I didn't reply. Some words deserve silence more than rebuttal. I blocked the number, exhaled into the quiet, and drove away for the last time. The new place was nothing like the old one, and that was the point. A mid-rise building across the water, secured lobby, digital access codes, no spare keys issued to anyone. The concierge smiled as I moved in. "First day?" "First life," I said. Unpacking felt ceremonial. Every object I placed had to earn its spot. No sentimental clutter, no reminders of what had been taken. Just space. Real, unshared, unborrowed space. That night, Ethan came by with Thai takeout and a plant. A small jade in a white ceramic pot. "I know you said no plants," he teased, "but this one's low maintenance. Like me." I laughed for the first time in weeks. An honest, shoulder-deep laugh that startled even me. We ate on the floor, surrounded by unopened boxes and the smell of coconut curry. Outside, the lights from the harbor blinked like new promises. He leaned against the wall. "You did the hardest thing most people never manage. You didn't let guilt rewrite your boundaries." I stared at the plant, then at him. "It cost me my family." He shook his head. "No, it cost you their illusions. You still have yourself." That sentence landed in me like truth finally sitting down to rest. Later, when he left, I stood by the window, watching the reflections dance across the wet street. For months, I'd been haunted by that word, family. Now I understood. Family is not a license to invade. It's a choice to respect. Weeks passed quietly. The apartment sale closed without a hitch. I donated the profits to an education grant for women in tech, a way of turning something poisoned into something purposeful. Then, out of nowhere, an envelope arrived. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. Careful loops, slightly slanted. Inside was a single note. "I'm sorry, I didn't realize how far I'd gone until it all collapsed. I hope you're happy, wherever you are. Emily." No excuses, no demands, just exhaustion and ink. I sat at my new kitchen counter, rereading it under the amber light. Dr. Patel once said that closure isn't a door someone else shuts for you. It's the moment you stop waiting for them to. So I folded the note, placed it in a drawer, and whispered to the empty room, "I already am." A month later, I ran into Tyler by coincidence. He looked lighter, different. "I'm seeing someone," he said, smiling nervously. "She's normal, and she thinks having your own apartment is healthy." I laughed. "Revolutionary concept," he grinned. "Thanks for accidentally saving my life." "Glad my chaos could be useful," I said, and meant it. These days, I wake up to sun on my face, coffee steaming on the counter, and silence. Earned silence. I keep a digital security system, yes, but the real lock now lives inside me. It's called no. No to guilt. No to manipulation dressed as love. No to anyone who mistakes access for affection. Sometimes I still hear Mom's voice in my head. Family helps family. But now, my answer is calm. Family also respects boundaries. I've learned that protecting your peace doesn't make you selfish, it makes you safe. The woman who once couldn't say no without trembling now owns her solitude like a crown. And that crown, it shines brightest in silence.